It really is quite something watching different countries carve out their own paths with digital assets, isn't it?
It absolutely is. You see these really distinct strategies emerging.
And today we're looking closely at the UK. They've recently made their approach a bit clearer, and it definitely stands out.
Yes, there's certainly no single global playbook being followed. The UK's position is, well, a fascinating case study in a nation going its own way.
Totally. We got some really useful insights following that recent Digital Asset Summit in London, especially from the UK Treasury folks.
Hmm.
So our aim today is really to unpack their thinking. What are they focusing on? What are they maybe stepping back from? And what could it all mean? We'll try to keep it clear, no getting lost in the weeds.
Exactly. It's about understanding the why behind their decisions, the direction they're setting.
Okay, so let's jump in. A really big point was the UK's view on holding Bitcoin in national reserves. Seems like they've landed somewhere quite specific on that.
They have indeed. The Treasury confirmed it pretty directly. Unlike, say, discussions in the US or what the EU's done, the UK currently has, well, zero plans to build up a national Bitcoin reserve.
Hmm, that's quite a statement. Did they give much reasoning, like why they don't think it's suitable for their market?
Well, the quote was essentially that they don't think that's right for our market, which, suggests a very UK-specific calculation.
Right, tailored to their own economy, their own priorities.
Precisely. It's not just following a trend. It's interesting when you put it next to the U.S., where Bitcoin reserves have at least been, considered under certain budget scenarios.
Okay, so a clear no on Bitcoin reserves from the UK, at least for the time being. But that doesn't mean they're ignoring the whole space, right? They seem quite interested in the underlying tech.
That's the key distinction, yes. While holding Bitcoin isn't the plan, they are actively looking into blockchain technology itself, specifically for issuing government debt.
Oh, okay. So leveraging the technology for more traditional finance functions, almost.
Exactly that. It's about applying the tech where they see a clear benefit within their existing structures.
Interesting. So issuing government debt on a blockchain, what are the potential wins there? Faster settlement, more transparency, perhaps.
Those are likely the kinds of advantages they're exploring. They're actually in the process now of picking a supplier for this. We should hear who gets the nod, maybe by late summer.
Okay.
So it shows, a real belief in the potential efficiencies blockchain can bring, even if they're cautious about holding the assets themselves.
Got it. So tech gets a thumbs up, Bitcoin reserves don't. What about regulating crypto more broadly then? Are they just using old rules or creating something specific?
Well, they've explicitly said they won't be adopting the EU's big package, MiCA.
Right, Micah. Heard a lot about that.
Instead, the UK is opting for what they call a principles-based approach.
Principles-based. Okay, what does that mean in practice? How's it different from Micah's sort of detailed rulebook?
Fundamentally, it means regulating crypto activities based on the risks they pose, much like they regulate traditional finance. The mantra is same risk, same rules.
I see.
So the focus is less on prescribing exactly how things must be done and more on the outcomes like protecting consumers and ensuring market stability. MiCA is generally seen as much more detailed, more prescriptive.
That sounds quite flexible, actually, applying established principles to new tech.
It does offer adaptability, yeah.
But I wonder, could that also mean maybe less certainty for businesses starting out compared to having very specific rules laid out, like in MiCA?
That's definitely the potential trade-off. A principles-based system needs interpretation, both from the regulator and the firms. The hope is it's more future-proof, less likely to need constant updates as tech changes. But yes, initial clarity might feel different than a very defined set of rules.
Makes sense. Now, thinking about coins like Bitcoin, their whole thing is being decentralized, right? That must pose a challenge for government control. Did the Treasury touch on that?
They did, quite openly, actually. There was an acknowledgement that controlling fully decentralized cryptocurrencies, like Bitcoin, is inherently difficult for governments.
Really? They just said that.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
The sentiment was that there are just fundamental limits to how much control you can realistically exert over assets designed to be outside central control.
That's quite refreshing, that honesty. It recognizes what makes this tech different.
It shows a pragmatic view, I think, an understanding of the tech's architecture and the real-world limits it imposes on traditional oversight models.
Okay. So despite these different paths, no Bitcoin reserves for the UK, a different regulatory style to the EU, it sounds like they still see value in working with others internationally, particularly the US.
Oh, absolutely, that was stressed. The UK really values cooperation with U.S. regulators here.
How so?
Well, they've set up a new Joint UK-US Working Group, specifically for crypto oversight.
Ah, okay.
It underlines that even with different domestic approaches, they both recognize that crypto is global. Effective oversight needs that international coordination.
Yeah, that tracks. Things like tackling illicit finance or protecting users, those aren't just domestic issues, are they?
Exactly. This working group shows they both get that. You need that shared understanding and collaborative effort in such a connected, fast-moving area.
So let's try and bring it all together then. The UK seems to be taking quite a distinct route. No Bitcoin in national reserves. Instead, they're really exploring blockchain tech for issuing government debt.
Yep.
Regulation-wise, they're leaning on established financial principles, same risk, same rules, rather than adopting the EU's specific MiCA framework.
Correct. A principles-based approach.
And they're pretty upfront about the challenges of controlling truly decentralized crypto like Bitcoin.
Acknowledging the limits, yes.
But crucially, they're still working closely with the U.S. on oversight, setting up that joint group.
That international collaboration piece is key for them.
It really paints a picture of the UK trying to find maybe a middle way, integrating where it fits, regulating based on existing ideas, but acknowledging where this stuff is fundamentally different.
I think that's a fair assessment. They seem to be aiming for a path they see as balanced and practical for their specific context, adapting existing frameworks but also recognizing the novel aspects.
It just goes to show there really isn't one single answer emerging globally in digital finance, is there?
Not at all. We're seeing real divergence.
And the choices being made now by countries like the UK, the US, the EU, they could really shape how the whole global financial system looks down the line. Makes you wonder, doesn't it, how these different experiments will pan out and what that truly balanced global approach might eventually look like.
Indeed. It's a fascinating space to watch as it continues to unfold.